Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dylan.
And I'm Travis.
We're the 406 Boys, back again with another video. And this video, we are doing a whole series recap of it. Welcome to Derry, and today we are recapping the first 3 episodes.
Ooh.
I'm very pleased with how this series is going so far, and I think it's actually pretty good so far.
Yeah, I really like it. It has a good start to it. I just hope that it doesn't delve into. We'll get to that stuff.
In this recap, we will be recapping every single detail of all 3 episodes so far. So if you are not caught up or haven't seen any of the episodes, there will be spoilers. So if you want to watch this video, go watch all 3 episodes and then come back and watch our video. Because we want you guys to see this video, but we don't want to spoil anything for you. So please go watch all 3 episodes and then come back and watch our video. So, episode 1. We start off with Maddie, who is in a. What's the theater called?
The Capitol.
The Capitol Theater. And they're watching the showing of, what is it, The Music Man?
Yeah.
And obviously, he's being shushed by people or whatever. Then he's chased out by.
I'm assuming the manager.
The manager or whatever. And then you're introduced to the character Ronnie. The character Ronnie, who will become very important later on. She basically tells the people that she doesn't know where Maddie went. And then Maddie's chased out of the theater. A couple minutes later, Maddie's walking down a road and picked up by this family, this seemingly normal family, tells them he needs to be anywhere but Derry. They're driving, and I'll tell you what, the first 10 minutes is a mind fuck because Travis, please go into it.
The thing is, as soon as he was picked up, I knew something was going to happen.
If you saw the 2017, you knew what was going to happen in this car ride.
Like, I just didn't know what was exactly going to happen, but the things that happened in that first 10 minutes went farther than what I thought it was going to go, or where I thought it was going to go.
Like, I feel like because this is a TV show or a series straight to HBO Max, I feel like they gave Andy, the creator, who is also the creator of the 2017 movie, more directive freedom, and he was able to make it more violent, which he wasn't able to do as much with the 2017 movie. But I'm glad he was able to do more because the first 10 minutes, there's one part in particular, man, where it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, I can't say enough about that first 10 minutes. But that first 10 minutes, if you are get very grossed out by very little things, I'd be wary of that first 10 minutes. Yeah.
So we're introduced to a couple of new characters. We have Lily, who's supposedly one of our lead protagonists. Then we got a couple of boys, Phil and Teddy, and a character named Marge, who's a friend of sorts. Yeah.
And we learn about Lily, whose dad had a very terrible accident and was jarred up in a bunch of pickle jars and put around town, apparently.
Yeah, like something about her dad dying in a pickle factory.
Like an accident or something.
And of course, because children are monsters, they basically made fun of her for it.
Yeah, and like she was deemed like crazy and all this stuff. So then you have Phil, who is like, he's got more of a creative imagination.
The alien conspiracy theorist.
It's crazy. And then you have Teddy, who has an interesting story to him.
It turns out that he is related to Stan, who is featured in the OG 2017 book, whatever. His older brother is featured in there, and he's kind of like the rebellious, you can't tell me what to do.
Okay.
It was technically confirmed that that's supposed to be his dad.
Okay.
That, basically the dad of Stan.
Gotcha. So they decided to add this military storyline which we are actually introduced to Leroy Halloran, who actually ends up being
basically the grandson of Mike Hanlon.
and we actually are introduced to
Dick Halloran from The Shining.
And so you put these pieces together, and so these guys grow up to be these guys. And the military aspect so far, I will say, is I kind of wish they didn't do it, but I understand they're doing it to piece everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really like the direction it's going.
I think
the direction it's going is they are literally using the entity as a war weapon. That's it. That's what they're doing.
Which I'm tired of seeing military subplots to be, let's weaponize X, Y, and Z. Because that's mostly what I tend to see. Is whenever the military comes up, I was like, okay, what are they going to try to weaponize? Oh boy, I did not see that coming.
Yep.
Though there are some points that I do like where it sort of introduces the main theme of ignoring the bad things, like using racism to show its influence to basically mirror the real world and how people look away whenever bad things happen. Like,
yeah.
Even when someone is getting bullied in public.
Exactly.
So some things happen, the characters slowly start to meet together, and at first they don't believe in what's going on, even though some things are happening, until things get more frequent,
yep.
like the lamp thing, the drain, and then that's like, okay, there's
something's definitely going on.
So they try to piece it together, and they bring one of the characters' younger sisters. I think it's Teddy, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it's Phil.
Phil, thank you very much. And she's serviceable. Like, she's not necessary, but it's like, they might do something with her later on down the road. Then they meet Ronnie when they hear that Manny met with her. And at first thinking this is a way to harass the family because a white boy disappeared, and they assumed it was the dad, but they have no proof that they did it, but it's simulated that it's because of racism, essentially, that they think it was him. That is until the stories kind of click together, where she started to hear things that everyone else is hearing.
Yep.
Then they decide to go to the theater because there was a song that they all heard that was from the Music Man.
Yep.
So once they get to the theater, and weird things start to happen.
And then inside the showing of the Music Man, they notice Maddie standing there, and of course he seems to be holding a baby.
And
then you remember from the beginning, the baby in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you automatically know what's coming next. We didn't quite know what was going to happen, but we
I did not expect.
We couldn't have expected what was going to happen next.
Most of the characters that were introduced are killed off by the end of the first episode.
It is absolutely one of the craziest pilot episodes that I have ever seen. Literally over half of the main characters that were introduced were killed off.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil, Teddy, and the little sister, I kid you not, Teddy was ripped in half.
Oh, these kills are
Teddy was
brutal.
ripped in half. Phil's little sister, her arm was ripped off. And Phil, you'll learn in the second episode, was just murdered, like straight up, like.
And the little girl's hand was stuck on Lily's hand.
It's crazy. And at the end of the episode, you see it pans down to Lily holding her hand and then her just screaming. So as far as the first episode goes, I would rate the episode probably an 8.5 out of 10. This set the expectations so high for me because it is such. I was like, this is gonna be a banger show. I didn't know what to expect, but it was so good.
I think what made that so effective is that it made you think that these were the main characters and that they were going to have plot armor throughout the whole thing, just like the 2017 one. No, no one's safe.
I think one of the most effective jump scares in the first episode was the lampshade jump scare. And I think what could have made it even better is if they used not CGI. If they not used CGI, it would have been so much better.
Like, I know that this is a problem that Andy Muschietti has, where he uses a bunch of CGI, but I wish every once in a while he'll do something practical, because I think that the lampshade thing could literally have been more effective had it not been using CGI, because it's a creepy visual, but I'm aware that I'm looking at a computer effect.
I agree.
Episode 2 starts pretty much almost instantly after the last one left off. And I kind of knew where it was going to go. The father gets blamed for the whole thing.
Yep.
But once again, they cannot prove it because the witnesses are not giving their stories so far. They're not saying anything about it. But they assume that because, again, 1960s and it's a black guy, so they're going to try to find a way, even if they use dirty tactics.
Yeah.
But one thing that I also liked is, oddly, the opening title sequence that wasn't present in the first one. It's kind of calm, while showing demented things at the same time, while ending
the opening credits for each episode is actually very cool.
And then we start to get to learn about more of the characters. And basically about their significant character flaws. Like, Marge wants to be friends with Lily, but she also wants to be with the popular group. In order to do that, she has to act like the popular group, even if it means having to throw her friend necessarily under the bus, essentially.
Yep.
And I know that people have such a hatred for this character, and trust me, I understand that, but that's honestly what makes this actually good, is that a lot of kids are kind of like that at that age, where they feel like they need to belong, even if they have to do dirty tactics in order to do that. In fact, I have done some questionable things when I was in middle school just to seem cooler in front of the cool kids, essentially. So I completely understand both sides right there.
And we forgot to mention two characters. One that was introduced, I believe, first episode or this episode, which is Rich, who plays a very big part in episode 3. And then Leroy Hanlon's son, who I believe is Will.
Yes, that's correct.
And he plays a very important counterpart to Ronnie.
Now those characters, those are more prominent.
And they start to play a more prominent role in this episode, in episode 2, and in episode 3.
And once again, it does seem like there's sort of a new group that they don't get together really until halfway through the third episode.
Yep.
But then again, there's the whole thing of don't get too attached to the characters because any moment they can go.
Leroy ends up getting attacked by some masked men who are looking for the code or whatever for whatever project they're working on.
Yeah, not entirely sure what that means, but I'm sure that's going to be something important.
He's ended up saved by his another character, his friend, Captain Polly Russo.
Which oddly, I kind of like their dynamic.
I do also.
We also kind of learned that the sergeant might be leaving a few things out, essentially. Yeah. That while blaming the racist guy from the previous episode, it's clear that the sergeant knows more than what he's leading on by putting the racist guy in the prison cell, just to kind of essentially find a pawn, essentially, to throw away. But Leroy doesn't think that he did it using the whole gun, essentially. He's able to load the gun with ease. In this specific one, supposed to be really hard.
Yeah.
So that's kind of proof that the sergeant isn't completely honest in what's going on, essentially. Purposefully hiding some stuff. Meanwhile, we also see some world building stuff from the town, essentially, because when Leroy's wife is going out to buy, I think it's like roast beef or something like that.
Like a roast, something for a roast.
He sees kids completely obliterating this nerd, just curb stomping him for no reason, and no one's doing anything. Like seeing that nothing
was that
is wrong.
in the first episode or second episode?
That was in the second one.
Okay.
And it's the whole thing about how people will turn away from bad things and not get involved, because I think it's a common thing that most people will not get involved because they don't want to be part of conflict, essentially. So I think that's an interesting thing that they're fully bringing on the whole thing that Derry has this hold that either makes people not care about what's going on or just completely just, nope, I'm just going to ignore it.
Exactly. This next part literally gave me the ick. Like, I was like, what the fuck did I just watch?
You talking about...
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
So, Ronnie is hiding out in her room because her dad and grandmother are arguing because of the whole thing of the cops going around. And while that's happening, she is encased in, like, under the blanket, she's encased
in the womb. She's encased in the womb. Okay, there, I said it. She's encased in the fucking womb. Okay, go on.
With the full umbilical cord and everything.
Yes, she's encased in the womb.
But that's not the worst part. That's oddly not the worst part. She sees her dead mother still attached to the umbilical cord as the belly opens up as a mouth as it's trying to pull her back in.
It's just, this show is just
and she's
gnarly,
covered in the juices and everything. She's making it worse.
Gnarly, dude. And of course she starts screaming and her dad and grandma rush in and nothing's there, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do?
So it's clear that the cops want to bust Hank, who is Ronnie's dad. But they don't have any evidence. So their tactic is to essentially threaten Lily to confess something, or else she'll be sent back to the nut house, essentially, is how they say it. And of course she doesn't want to do that. So she's forced to essentially say something in a way that they would twist it into, oh, okay, he did it. And I know, after much consideration, I'm thinking, because the chief's last name is Bowers, I'm assuming that's supposed to be Henry Bowers' dad. Just a little younger.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Because it can't be his grandfather, so I'm assuming it has to be at least his father, just a little younger.
Yeah.
Maybe. So they have the warrant to go and arrest Hank, essentially. And of course, Ronnie is not happy about that.
No. This next part gave me flashbacks of a movie that literally terrified me, which was, it gave me flashbacks of Smile 2. And if you watch this episode, you'll understand why. So Lily is in the middle of shopping in a little store, and things start getting weird. In the background, you see people tilting their head and smiling. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that seems about right for this show. Then it gets really weird, and
they progressively get worse.
Yep, and then they start chasing her down the aisles, and then it gets really bad, and then lo and behold, she comes down an aisle where she's trapped, and then she's in a box, and then she sees in a jar her dad's head. Then
is surrounded by pickle jars all around her, and that, honestly, the setup to the scare was actually more effective than
Yes.
the actual thing.
Yeah.
Because, again, the whole thing with the CGI, being aware that it's a computer effect,
Yeah.
it came across more kind of gross
Yeah.
and goofy looking more than anything.
Yeah.
Where, again, I feel the whole thing of, and the fact that all of these people that were doing that smile thing and acting weird, they were in the background. So when you saw it, it's like, oh, jeez. And even one where one of them's just walking right behind her and then she's gone
Yep.
instantly.
Yep. So after all this, the scare is done. People are looking at her, of course, like she's batshit crazy.
And back to the nut house she
And
goes.
back to the nut house she goes, and the episode's over. The second episode was actually pretty good. The scares were pretty decent. I would probably rate it again like a 7.5 or an 8.
Sure, I would say not as effective.
Not as effective as the first one, but it was still pretty good.
But I'm still on board of it. So we start off pretty much again shortly after the first one, but before we do that, we flash back to 1908.
And this is episode 3, just so you're following along. So we're in 1908. We're at like a little carnival type
it's
thing.
like a carnival, like there's like a freak show of sorts, and we see this boy going in, and weird things are happening. At the point where you're assuming that it's gonna get another kid, essentially.
Yeah.
And set something for something down the road.
Yeah.
You technically get a 1908 version of Pennywise in the distance.
Yeah.
And you think that's where it's gonna go, where it's gonna end. Nope, they keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, this boy meets this girl, and part of a Native American tribe, which they're briefly showing up a little bit more because the Native Americans have a history with it.
Yep.
And at one point, the boy goes into the woods and comes across eventually what looks like to be a Wendigo, which I think King had Wendigos in one of his other stories, like Pet Cemetery, but were never featured. This is actually the closest that it comes to featuring one into the show. So that opening sequence was pretty intense.
And he's ultimately chased through the woods by this Wendigo, and the Wendigo is towering over him, and he's literally going to eat his face off until the Native American girl, she literally beans it in the frickin' eye with
like a
rock or whatever, and they run out of the woods, and then the opening credits start.
So then back to the hospital. Basically, she was just there for temporarily, and was basically okay. So just be sure not to do this again, and you should be good, basically. Yep. So I was like, oh, okay. So the whole thing of sending her back was kind of pointless if they were just going to let her out again, but
doesn't make sense,
but okay, fine, whatever. So tensions are high.
Definitely.
Like between Lily and Ronnie.
Yep. Lily comes in and girls are writing basically her dad's gonna fry in the electric chair and stuff like that. And Lily comes in and tries to help Ronnie in the bathroom, and Ronnie says she doesn't need her help, and then Lily says, well, I have this plan because I saw it or whatever, and she says that she has this plan on how and they come up with this plan on how they're gonna catch it. So then they go to this diner where you see Rich and Will, and they basically tell them they need their help developing photos, and they give them the rundown on how they're going to catch it, which, long story short, they're going to try to lure it out and take pictures of whatever is trying to get after them to prove that Hank didn't kill those kids.
Yeah. And that's trying to get a picture of it and try to prove that they're not crazy is an interesting story beat, and I am interested to see where it goes.
Let's go to the military side of this a little bit with all the military guys. What do you have to say about the military side of this episode?
I would say that once again, it's the whole trying to find it, and I feel like they're gonna try to over-explain the origin of it.
And obviously,
And
we found out in this episode the boy from the beginning in 1908 was
was the general running the mission,
yes, and the Native American girl grew up to be
like a shopkeeper,
and is a big key part. And then
and she was featured briefly in the first
yep,
episode.
and then they interact in this episode, the general and stuff like that, and so we learn that and stuff. So and Dick Halloran needs to be saved because it almost got him and stuff.
So it kind of explains why they're trying to essentially weaponize it, and it's proving or by showing that he has personal connection to the whole thing. That makes sense.
Yep.
What I again am not really fully on board with is again the whole thing of how are you going to weaponize it if it can turn on you.
What did you think of some of the scares in this episode?
I would say not as much.
I feel like the last two episodes have been very tame compared to the first episode. I feel like the last two episodes have been a lot more build up. Let's get on to the last like 15-20 minutes.
I actually did like the cemetery bit.
I did really like the cemetery bit. People will complain about the ghosts or the entities you saw at the end, but let's be honest, for what CGI they did, I think it was okay. And you know, so in the cemetery they're trying to conjure up what Rich is doing his conjuring up, which he really doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't know if what he did actually worked or if it was just watching them. And so they're biking out of the cemetery and it actually comes, and so what we learn is all three, Rich, Ronnie, and Lily bike out, and then Will is stuck in this like
this
crypt or whatever, and he ends up taking a photo. They go out and they go to the school. They develop all the photos. They actually catch the things on camera, which is crazy. That's not the craziest part. They stop and they get the last photo done, and they say, "What is that?" And Will's like, "That's the photo I got in the crypt." And they look at the photo. They say, "What is that?" And they said, "That's a clown." And then the episode ends. So they know that that was Pennywise inside the crypt, because if you go back to that end of the episode and you look carefully, you see Pennywise's glove on his hand on the wall, and then it slides back. So you know that was Pennywise in the crypt. So we're either getting Pennywise, I hope, by at least the 5th episode. I hope. Because
I did hear
we know that was, we literally saw Pennywise's hand in that episode, in the 3rd episode.
So he's coming.
So he's coming either next episode or by the 5th episode, I guarantee it. And if he doesn't, I don't know what they're doing, because we literally actually saw his hand. That was his hand inside the crypt. What would you rate the 3rd episode?
I would honestly rate it around the same, like about 7.5 or an 8.
I would rate it about an 8. I think I liked the 3rd episode better than the 2nd episode, just because I think I liked that there wasn't more stuff happening in the 3rd episode, and there was a lot of build up. I think the fact that you got to see Pennywise basically twice in the 3rd episode, because once with Dick Halloran inside the sewers, you got to hear his voice, right? You got to see the deadlights, and then you got to hear his voice. At the end, inside the crypt, you got to see his hand. So I think I have to give it a little bit higher score than the 2nd episode, because you got to actually see and hear him. I think hearing him is a bonus, because you get to hear that Skarsgård Pennywise voice. I think that was a big bonus, that you actually got to hear Pennywise. So I have to give this at least an 8, and just because I think it's heading in the right direction, and I think we're going to see Pennywise within the next 2 episodes. Overall, as a series, I think this is a very solid series so far.
Mhm.
I was hoping it was going to be good, and I'm not let down so far. I think if it keeps going in the direction it's going, it's going to be a great series, and I can't wait for season 2, and I can't wait for season 3.
Mhm.
I can't wait for season 2 in particular because I really want to know what happened with the 1935 massacre of that gang that they talked about in the 3rd episode.
Oh yeah, they keep bringing it up too.
They especially talked about that in the 3rd episode, and I really want to know more about that 1935 massacre of that wannabe John Dillinger gang.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get to learn about that in the second season. So I really like this show so far, and I think you guys should really check it out. It's a really cool show. If you have, let us know your comments and your thoughts of the show. If you like the show, if you don't like the show, we'd really like to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Travis, do you have any final thoughts?
I think final thoughts is that, again, I really like where the show is going, because I always have, for a show that has about 8 or 9 episodes, I always break them down like this. The first 3 episodes are the introduction. The 3 episodes after that are sort of the middle ground of it.
Mhm.
And then the last 2 episodes, maybe 1, or sometimes even 3, are the climax episode.
Yeah.
And I think we're past the introduction stuff. So now that we're past the introduction stuff,
We're getting into the real juicy stuff.
we should be getting into the good stuff soon. So I would say at least the first half is just the build up, and the last half things are going to start to get crazy. And again, what I always like is that the stakes are much higher, because these new characters, again, they could die. The Halloran kid might have a chance, but everyone else is kind of screwed almost, because they don't have that plot armor thing. But again, I don't know if any of the characters are going to make it out, or how many of them are going to make it by the end of the season. In fact, during the cemetery thing, there were moments where it's like, this is it, this person's going to die.
So again, if you have any thoughts, if you like the show, if you don't like the show, let us know in the comments down below. We'd really like to know your thoughts. Without further ado, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn on notifications so you get notified when we upload new videos. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Travis.
We're the 406 Boys. See ya.